I hope you must have started reading this. As you know, the book is divided into three sections. Book. He has written a book. You read it as sections. Book 1, Preliminary Questions. Four chapters. Animism, Naturism, Totemism. I hope you must have read these concepts in anthropological theory. Then book 2, the elementary beliefs. This deals with anthropological theory and your course on family, marriage, and kinship. Then 3, the principal ritual attitudes, and at last the conclusion. Although in the first two classes I said you read the whole book, but I also told you to read at least 2 books in the semester in my course, but make a tutorial book. I can make, but I will make the arbitrary book. The sociological method of making group has been outlined by Emile Durkheim himself, but not in this book. The first thing will be my advice. Don't treat Emile Durkheim and his different books as separate books. Therefore, there are certain concepts which he will not explain in this book because he expects from all of us that you have already read the division of labor in society, suicide, primitive classification, and of course, rules of sociological method. Now take the first book, the division of labor in society. There are 3 central concepts in that book. The first concept is the phenomenon called the division of labor. And there are 2 rival theories. One, the theory of political economists like Adam Smith, Ricardo, Marshall, and their followers. The political economists had claimed before Emile Durkheim wrote the division of labor in society that the division of labor promotes economic efficiency. What is the goal of the division of labor in society according to the political economists? It promotes economic efficiency. Simple? No, it is not simple. You understand the literal English meaning of these terms, but you are not trying to locate it in the empirical social context. I'll explain it a little later. Durkheim refutes this theory. What is Durkheimian theory of the division of labor in society? Durkheimian theory says that, statistically speaking, in some context, the division of labor in society may seem to promote economic efficiency, but in some other context, it may not lead to efficiency. Rather, it may create discord. Then his mum and promotes his own theory. He says the division of labor in society promotes moral cohesion. Are you getting the point? There is one phenomena, for example, the dust. This is the division of labor. And one theorist called the political economists are claiming that it promotes economic efficiency. Durkheim says no. In some cases it may, in some cases it may not. Example, this is division of labor. How? Somebody made this, somebody made this, somebody pasted the two. Therefore, three types of labor is involved in it. But is it complete in itself? No. Because it is meaningless, useless, in case there is no blackboard or the chalk. Take it, a factory product. Suppose somebody is a manufacturer. Somebody is the owner of this factory which produces this duster. Now, what is the use of this duster? The use of the duster is a function called X, which is dependent on the function of another product called chalk. In case chalk is not available, it is useless because it is to rub the writing of this. And both require that, see. That is a market. It is a product, but where are the buyers? You are promoting economic efficiency in a factory. But unless and until there is trust in the market or the society, who will buy it? Are you getting the point? Therefore, Durkheim said there are two different things. One is conflict, the other is competition. Who are competing? Many people are competing. There may be two factories producing the duster, and they may follow different marketing strategy. For example, take three important leaders of 2017. Donald Trump. He is claiming, I am not concerned, or Durkheim is not concerned with the content of his speech. We are concerned with the structure of the argument. What he is saying? He is saying, be American, buy American, okay? What will happen? For some time, it will create some sort of pseudo-nationalism in the United States of America. Americans may be befooled like Indians were befooled 2 months ago by our Mr. Modi. And now UP people are being befooled by another person called Mr. Akhilesh Yadav. There are three different people working in three different social contexts. They have three different ideologies, but the structure of the argument is the same. Why? Because it is the same American propaganda firm which is giving advice to all the three. And what is the argument? Argument is that global market promotes mass society. And in mass society, people are so preoccupied with their everyday life, that is profane in this book, that they become directly or indirectly detached from the sacred, that is the election. Election in UP or Indian Lok Sabha or American presidency is sacred. Because sacred is a concept which denotes totality, whole, collective, social. Got it? I will repeat by using a different set of sentences. Durkheim is trying to say sociology of religion is not concerned with particular religions of the world. We are not concerned with the content of religion. We are concerned with the structure of religious thought. Got it? Sociology of religion has absolutely nothing to do with particular religion or religions. We are not concerned with the religious sentiment and the religious content. We are concerned with the structural argument of the religious thought and the religious life. Therefore, religion for Emile Durkheim, Auguste Comte or Karl Marx is a metaphor, is a symbol which signifies totality, the whole, the social, the umbrella concept, the paradigm. Are you getting the point? Whereas theology, the science of religion, studies a particular religion. The psychology of religion studies a particular religion. For example, Max Weber is a psychologist of religion. He is not a sociologist of religion. And his most seminal essay, for which he is known for, is called Social Psychology of World Religion. You can read this article, very famous, popular article, in a book edited by Gert and Mills. The name of the book is From Max Weber. This same book includes his two important essays, Science as a Vocation and Politics as a Vocation. He is primarily concerned with social psychology of world religion, whereas Durkheim, Marx, and Auguste Comte, among the founding fathers, and Claude Lévi-Strauss, Bronislaw Malinowski, A.R. Radcliffe Brown, Clifford Geertz, Peter Berger, these are concerned not with psychology of religion, rather they are concerned with sociology of religion. Therefore, you must differentiate between psychology of religion and sociology of religion, history of religion and sociology of religion. Now, in case you have not read about the finer differences between these concepts, psychology versus sociology, history versus sociology, theology versus sociology, then I have recommended you two books in the earlier classes. One is Sociological Tradition by Robert Nisbet, and the other Foundations of Social Anthropology by Nadel. But there is another book which you can read. And that book you have already read in your first semester, Rules of Sociological Method, or Anthropological Essays by E. Evans Pritchard. Now, why I am telling this? Because in MPhil entrance test, which some of you may be giving, we receive wrong answers about these fundamental questions. For example, whenever we ask a question like this, differentiate between sacred and profane, almost 80 to 90% of students equate sacred with pure. Sacred has nothing to do with pure or worship in the temple or church or mosque. What is sacred? Sacred is collective. Social representation. Sacred is a, to borrow from Durkheim himself, sacred is a social fact. Sacred is a social fact. And what is social fact? To use the same Durkheimian cliche, it is general, it is universal, general and constraining. What is universal? What is universal in sacred or social fact? General, the Durkheimian term for universal is exterior. General is contrasted with individual. Are you getting the point? General versus particular, individual. Sacred is general, collective, social. And what is the polar opposite or a structural opposite of that? Individual, particular, subjective, sentimental, emotional. Sacred has nothing to do with these concepts. Sacred is what? Not. Sacred is not individual phenomena. Sacred is not particular phenomena. Sacred is not sentimental phenomena. Sacred is not subjective phenomena. Therefore, sacred has nothing to do with what religious people think subjectively. Are you getting the point? In this way, Durkheimian sociology of religion contradicts Weberian sociology, which is based on the concept of Verstehen or subjective meaning of the acts that performed or done by the individual actor. Are you getting the point? Therefore, Weberian sociology and Durkheimian sociology had almost nothing in common. Whereas Marx, Auguste Comte, Emile Durkheim, and their hybrid followers have much more in common. They are fundamentally the same. Their language is different. Their empirical example is different. Got it? Now, what is class for Marx? Class is, for Marx, what is religion or sacred for Durkheim? What are these? These are technical concepts. These are symbols. These are signifiers. These are mathematical formula. These are your passwords. Are you getting the point? In sociological theory, which is taught in semester 3, isn't it? You must have been taught what is theory. There are two types of theory. What are these? Please don't tell micro and macro. These are not theories. Theories are formal and substantive. And what is micro and macro? Theory is always macro. Then what is micro theory? It is wrong use of the concept called theory. Micro theory is basically generalization in the empirical context. But to make so-called micro theory a macro theory, you have to undergo different layers of generalization. Are you getting the point? For example, take the bad example. Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. This is scientific nonsense. It doesn't mean anything in the laboratory or in academic excursus. What is excursus? Scientific activity. Excursus is what the scientists do in the lab or what they do in the scientific community. You know, science is meaningful only in the context of scientific community. What is meant by scientific community? that you may have different personal opinion about so many different things. But when you become member of a scientific community, for example, when you enroll in Sociological Society or the Society of Physicists, Royal Society of Physics, are you getting the point? Or when you enroll yourself in the community of biologists, you are supposed to read the critical minimum. You cannot say, I have not read, I am not concerned. You have to be concerned with certain fundamental principles. For example, you have seen I was not very cooperative with the protesters. It doesn't mean that I do not believe in protest. But unless and until you are not ready to academic activity, unless and until you are not treating classroom lectures or classroom engagement as sacred, how do we expect that the higher authority or more powerful adversary will respect you? When you are fighting for a cause with the VC or the Indian state or the world market or any adversary which is stronger than you, then to borrow from Theodore Adorno, you must try to make consensus about the rules where protest will become meaningful. Suppose you are in a hurry. You are not ready to wait for 50 minutes. Then the VC may be also in a hurry to call the police. Then the Prime Minister or the President may be also in a hurry. Then you cannot say to the public, they are in a hurry, they are not following the procedure, because you are yourself not following the procedure. Are you getting the point? Suppose you are playing cricket. Suppose you are playing hockey. Suppose you are waging a war with another country. Unless and until you follow the rules or international conventions, how you are going to declare that you are victorious, you have won? Are you getting the point? Therefore, unless and until your adversary, your competitor, and you both are talking in similar language, both have shared culture, shared heritage, society is not possible. Every play will become redundant, every competition will become redundant, because you are defeated and you will not accept that you are defeated. Therefore, both Marx and Durkheim agree that a just society, a normal society, what Marx says, just society or communist utopia, that is for Durkheim a moral community, is not possible unless and until there is shared collective values, norms, conventions, because there are two defining features of community. There are two defining features of community. And what are these? Territorial community life, geography. And second, permanent living. What is a community? Where you spend almost your whole life with your neighbors. This is community. And who was the first person in sociology who differentiated between community and society? Tonnage. But who was the person who gave the central concept, norms and values? W.G. Sumner, William Graham Sumner. Therefore, the concept of community in sociology or social science is much older than the concept of tonnage society. These days, concept of tonnage society is called civil society. It does not mean that the other society is uncivil. You must have heard the overuse of this concept, civil society. What is the polar opposite of civil society? Please tell me. One is civil society. What will be its other? Military society. Civil society versus military society, or to use the Marxian term, the laboring masses and the elite classes. What is the sociological difference between elite classes and the laboring masses? Anybody? Elites still have their community, whereas masses come from different, diverse geographical and ethnic background. They are alienated people. They are alienated masses. They have no community to support their non-working hours. Are you getting the point? The elite classes, the ruling classes have community. They are united. The ruling classes are always united. They are not alienated people. What is the source of the power of the elites? Not necessarily the money, but the community support. Whereas the working classes are alienated people. Their unity rests only during the working hours. They are not united when they go out from the factory. Are you getting the point? This is what Marx is trying to put forward. Therefore, what Marx said? Marx said that there is need of shared value of just society. Now, take the other concept. We are discussing the division of labor in society, economic efficiency and moral cohesion. Then, Marxist view is this: division of labor in factory. Division of labor in factory may promote economic efficiency, but in society it fragments people. Are you getting the point? Therefore, what is being discussed? The separation between the working time and the non-working time. The working hours and the leisure hours. Where do you exercise your freedom? Where do you exercise your freedom? Not during the working hours. You have some freedom during the non-working hours. Therefore, there is a need of a community life. What for? You must have heard two words, IQ and EQ. One is mechanical intelligence, the other is emotional intelligence. What is IQ? That mechanically your brain is faster than the brain of your competitor. But what is emotional, strength? One is strength of the brain, and second is the strength of your heart. Who will be a better worker? Who will be more successful? Who rules? Who is elected or selected or appointed as the manager or the elite? Not necessarily the most bright. There are many black people in United States of America, or there are many Dalits and tribals in India who are far more intelligent than their so-called upper class, upper caste classmates or the white classmates. But at the end of their career, some people succeed more than the others statistically. And what is the source? Emotional security. Are you getting the point? A person from deprived background is emotionally vulnerable. Therefore, in the second book of Amit Kumar Sharma, he is discussing not division of labor but suicide. The suicide rate among the Dalit or the tribal students in IIT Delhi or Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad is higher. Why? Because the academic culture of Indian Institute of Technology or Indian Institute of Management suits students of upper class background or upper middle class background, whereas the student from the deprived background spends a lot of time in being stable emotionally in the class or during the exam or during the interview. Are you getting my point? It is not my opinion, it is not my subjective feeling, it has been verified in a statistical surveys. Now, what Durkheim is trying to say? All his books are leading to the same concept of moral community, whether it is division of labor or suicide or primitive classification or rules of sociological method. All his books are different elements of the same theory of society which came in the final form in this book, The Elementary Forms of Religious Life. It was published in French language in 1912 and in the English translation it was available to us in 1915. This is a very old book, more than 100 years old, and it has survived. Why it had survived? Because it deals even today with the bread and butter of social life, social living. And what are the concepts I am repeating? There are 5 major concepts. 1, religion is a social phenomenon. It is not an individual phenomenon. Religion is holistic, not sectarian. Religion had nothing to do with private thought or subjective meaning. It has to deal with collective life. Collective life. And religion can be empirically quantified. Okay? Therefore, let us enumerate, the features of the sacred. Number 1, This is a general phenomenon. This is not individual phenomena. It has nothing to do with particularism or sectarianism. Okay? Second, you must have heard by the politicians, the propagandists, the demagogues, that they brand somebody a communalist, isn't it? What is the polar opposite of communalism? You are sociology students, you are not, supporters or opponents of a political party in the classroom. Therefore, I am asking a sociological question. What is the sociological meaning of communalism and what is its opponent, the polar opposite? Anybody? One sector, communalism versus sectarianism. Anybody else? My dear friend, what is the root concept of communalism, community, and what is the root concept of secularism, secular? What is the sociological difference between secular and communal? They have nothing in common. Secularism deals with separation of state and church. Secularism means a political ideology which separates the power of the state and the power of the church. In empirical context of Europe, the power of the national monarch and the power of the Pope. Are you getting the point? Therefore, secularism cannot be the polar opposite of communalism. Anybody else? The polar opposite of communalism is individualism. The polar opposite of communalism is individualism. When you become, unconcerned with your fellow human beings, are you getting the point? When you are so selfish, that you are not moved by any suffering of your fellow brothers or sisters. And there are such people in every society. Now what Durkheim theorized about? He said, when there are more such people, then there will be egoistic suicide. What is the index of rising individualism? The higher rate of egoistic suicide in the first stage, and in the second stage, higher rate of anemic suicide. Are you getting the point? Whereas, when there is communalism, how will you measure it? When there is more altruistic suicide, the rate of altruistic suicide is higher. Therefore, there is a political bluff when people pit two separate contexts, communalism versus secularism. It is a false debate. The true debate is between communalism versus individualism. Are you getting the point? But there is a but. And what is that but? The but is that Durkheim said there are not two concepts, individualism versus communalism. There are three. And what is the third? socialism. Individualism, communalism, socialism. Not socialism as a political ideology of Akhilesh Yadav or Mulayam Singh. Not socialism of Vladimir Lenin or Mao. Socialism is a concept which is comparable only in the context when you are comparing individualism and communalism. Are you getting the point? Therefore, you have three concepts at your technical disposal. You have three sociological options. You can be individualist, you can be a communalist, but you can also be a socialist. What is the meaning of socialism? The meaning of socialism in sociology and not in politics is that socialism is an ideology which said that communalism is a higher value than individualism and socialism is a higher value than communalism. These are three levels of social life. Are you getting the point? These are three levels of social life. Then please remember, they are writing at the end of 19th century and the beginning of 20th century. Therefore, they are trying to say that individualism is a lesser enduring concept. The ideology of individualism cannot endure more than a generation. It is like patrilineal cross-cousin marriage. You know, there is a phenomenon called cross-cousin marriages. Cross-cousin marriages can be you marry your mother's brother's daughter. According to Levi-Strauss, there is more likelihood of matrilineal cross-cousin marriage enduring over the generations than patrilineal cross-cousin marriages. In the same way, sociologists like Durkheim and Marx would like to argue that charismatic personalities cannot survive for long. And we must give some credit to Max Weber. Even he accepted the concept of routinization of charisma. The second irony of Max Weber is this: his follower, Talcott Parsons, brought Durkheim back in. Both are action theorists, you know. Max Weber and Parsons, both are action theorists. Both have action frame of reference, but there is a social system in Parsons, but there is no social system in Weber. And please have a look at the history of Germany and United States of America. Germans are one of the most hard-working, intelligent people on earth. But they could not survive for long in any field. Why? Why? Please don't beg the question or the answer. Please don't tell because of fascism or Nazism, because it is much later development. The reason is perhaps, statistically speaking, this, that unlike the French or the English or the Persians or the Arabs or the Indians or the Chinese, the German society is much more wedded to the ideology of individualism. Are you getting the point? I am not saying the other societies are better. I am only trying to explain the collective victory over the adversaries. For example, take two examples. The Japanese and the Germans. Both were in one side during the Second World War. Japan, Germany, Italy and Turkey. They were in one side. How many years the Japanese took, even after the bombing in Nagasaki and Hiroshima? And how many years the Germans took in unification? Are you getting the point? Germans take longer in recovering from social trauma. Why? Because they are much more individualistic than the Japanese. Take the Indian case. Now there is danger because most of you are from India and it may rub your individual sentiments, but I'm just trying to give you an example, arbitrary example. Take the Punjabis and the Bengalis and the Tamils. Statistically speaking, Punjabis are, more humorous than the Bengalis or the Tamils. Why? Why? Because the undivided Punjab had seen much more war, much more bloodshed, that they have cultural capital to dance with danger. On the other hand, Bengal and Tamil Nadu had seen much less war. Therefore, in Bengali or the Tamil society, there is much more complacency. Can you visualize a Mamata Banerjee or Mayawati dying and being succeeded by somebody like Sasikala and Natarajan? Impossible in Punjab. Why? Unless and until, my dear friends, you have cultural capital as a society, as a community, to deal with the darker side of life, you cannot enjoy happiness the way you should. Therefore, in sociology, our theorists have said again and again, try to understand the other, Not because others are important to you, but because by understanding the other, you will know the hidden aspect of your own culture. Are you getting the point? I am giving you first example, Germany versus Japan. Second example, Punjabis versus Bengalis and Tamils. Third example, men versus women. It is a historical fact that almost all the major religions which exist today was founded by male prophets. But you study the religions in the empirical context. It is the female gender which has nourished the religions, refined the religions, made them sophisticated. Why? To borrow from Louis Henry Morgan and Frederick Engels, warfare and hunting was invented by men, and agriculture and gardening was invented by women. Are you trying to get the point? These things have given rise to primitive classification, the third book of Humankind, written with his nephew Marshall Moss.